Welcome everyone. In this video we will check custom APIs in detail. In one line I would say create APIs using custom code using all featureful APIs of API Maker. Let's create simple custom API. We'll click on this add new button. We'll give the name here. Here we can choose our path. Like this. We'll save that. So it will show us like this. When we click on test, we can click on this code. We'll simply send it and we'll get the output. Click on this save button or type Ctrl S or Command S. Your changes will be saved in that custom API. Now in this editor, if you do any change and just send it, your output will be dependent on this change, but actual custom API will still have this old hello world, not world 2. For example, when you are doing your changes here and you run the code, you will see output based on your change, but when you hit the actual API via front-end or any mobile application, you will still see hello world. You will see your changes after the save. This is very helpful in debugging and fixing critical bugs in our UAT or production environments. There are some key bindings to improve work experience in editor that you can check in right-click context menu. Now let's get some simple data from table. Click on this insert code, zoom out a bit, click on examples. We'll get the query for get data and click on that. Alt+ F, format the code. MySQL inventory, order, transactions, nothing in find. We'll run that. MySQL 8, we'll run that. We'll return the data. We are getting those data. It is as simple as that. Those find join queries, deep populate queries will also work in the same way in custom API code. For example, let's paste our previous payload. In find we are passing these nested properties find join, and in deep we want to populate product ID, category ID, order ID and customer ID. We'll send and we'll get those same data in the same way. If you want to log something, we have facility for that also, g.logger.log, and query in bracket 0, let's say print only first object, and there is a console log. We'll run that. In log, we'll see this object, it is coming from g.logger.log, and from here this object is coming from console.log. From here you can reload console logs and clear also. We have support for Git, but if you want to maintain multiple versions of API code, you can do that and activate different version in just one click. For example, here let's create another version and make it active. Save. Now this time we are making it world 2. We'll send it. So we are getting world 2, but in our previous version we have world 1. And if you want to just activate this original world, just click on this make active, and our front-end and mobile applications will get output based on this version of the code. But if we want to change to some different version, and if we activate it, they will immediately start getting output based on this code. As simple as that. If you want to access request related things, you can check this g.req. Here you can get body, headers, parameters and query parameters. So let's get the entire request object in return and we'll see that. These are our headers. We don't have any query parameters. This is authorization part, and we don't have anything body. Body we can pass something like this, and in query parameters q1 v1 like this, and we'll get those in payload and we can access them in our code. Very simple. Let's remove query parameters and body. If you want to validate body payload and query parameters, we can do that using this structure of the custom API schema. In a property 1, we'll say type it as a eType as a string, and validations we can say required is equal to true. We'll update it, and when we send here, it will say type is required, please provide one property. If we go to body and when we provide, the error will go. Now understand this, we want to get the one property as a string, but user passed it as a number. But before getting executed this code, we will get the body property value as a string. So basically, API Maker will convert and validate your body payload and query parameters before executing your actual API code. So you don't have to do those conversions and validations in code, so you can keep your code more clean and concise. Custom APIs can have method get, put, post or delete. In this example, we made this get API. To make a get, just need to modify request method based on our needs. To make it public, just make it as a public. So this is our public API as we can see here. Let's take a look how it looks in browser. So we'll open it and we can see this is the table rendered. So first we set the content type as a HTML. After that we got some order transactions from our database. After that we looped through those order transactions and generated HTML content from that. After that we are just returning entire string and placing that HTML content table here, so we can see those in a table. Here we have added some bootstrap library files. This is small CSS for our printing section. This is our print button, and this is the div to render the HTML table. This is script to perform click operation on the button. Now when we perform click operation, it will open the print dialog and we can print those transactions. Now let's go back. Let's modify something to print new. Let's say we'll save it. We'll refresh the page and we can see output immediately. We can create entire websites in custom APIs also. But more specifically, HTML return type can be very useful for some dynamic reporting like this. Here, in HTML table, we need to escape the special characters of the HTML. But for this demo purpose, this is okay for now. Here we can use more powerful template engines like PostgreSQL. Let's enable caching for this API. For that, edit the schema and make enable caching to true. Update. And you can see response is now coming from cache. So it will not execute the code every time request comes. It will just return from the cache. Now what if we want to reset the cache automatically when we have changes in these order transactions? So for that, just need to specify things like this. So our instance name is MySQL 8, database name is inventory, and collection name is order transactions. We'll update that. And now when we have any kind of modification in the table of order transaction, caching of this API will be reset automatically. So right now we are getting data from cache. Let's perform some modification here. Now let's go back, and when we hit, first time it will get the fresh data, and after that it will start caching. So on modification it did reset the cache. Let's say if you want to get data in XML format, go to header, select the XML, press the send button, and we'll get the data in XML. So if you just pass header value in text XML, it will get the XML data. If you pass it as a YAML, we'll get the YAML data in a response. If we select octet stream, we can send files from the custom API also. Custom API is very capable of streaming huge amount of files, so it will use the Node.js streams to send the big files to the users. Custom API can also be used to return JPG, PNG, GIF or any kind of binary files. For more examples, please check our documentation of Custom API. To write common code, you can use this utility class feature. For that, let's create one class. We can create different levels for those to organize them properly. Level 2, level 3, and inside that we'll have a general utils. Level 1, level 2, level 3 and general utils. Now we'll create one method, get employees. We'll paste this code. We'll return these employees. This is going to be our async function. Now G we need to pass from that. Port star is a T from, and G is going to be T.IAM global. So inside that we have all these functions. So our types are also proper. Now let's press the button or click on Ctrl S. Now import that utility. Import star as general utils from. Now press Ctrl space and type general utils. It will fill up automatically. Now we'll get employees. Await g general utils dot get employees, and we'll just pass that, and we'll return employees. We'll execute that code, and we are getting the result. So this is how we can write some common code and organize them in a utility classes. Let's see sandbox settings. Here you can manage sandbox count, and in one CPU core, API Maker will create one process, and for one process we'll have these many sandboxes. So ideally it should be 1 or 2. Here you can add any package from npm. Let's say addition. We'll search that, and from npm you can add any package. Select that, select version you want, and click on save. That package will be added. You can click on that and you can remove also. You can use these packages in code of custom API or anywhere you can use them. From this section you can manage your Docker file. If you click on this reset button, it will fill up the current Docker file. You can modify that file for your needs. Let's say we want G++, Make and Python 3, so it will add them. And do not modify this below script. If you want to use default Docker file, just clear that and press Ctrl S. By default, all the origins are allowed. But if you insert any entry in this, only those domains will be allowed to hit APIs.